Imagine this, the company that built ChatGPT, the most famous AI model in the world, is now designing its own custom AI chips. And guess who's helping them? Not Nvidia, not AMD, but Broadcom, the quiet semiconductor giant behind some of the world's most critical hardware infrastructure. This partnership could be one of the most important strategic moves in the history of artificial intelligence, and yet hardly anyone is talking about it. But if you understand what's happening here, you'll see why this could change the AI race forever. Because this isn't just about performance, it's about power, control, and the future of how AI is built. The backdrop: OpenAI's GPU crisis. Let's start with the problem. OpenAI's biggest challenge right now isn't talent. It's not competition, it's compute. Every time someone opens ChatGPT, every query you type, every token generated, it consumes GPU power, massive amounts of it. In fact, OpenAI reportedly spends over $700,000 a day just on GPU cost to keep ChatGPT running. And who provides these GPUs? Nvidia, the company that went from being a gaming hardware brand to the most valuable chipmaker on Earth, worth over $2 trillion, all because of AI demand. But here's the catch: Nvidia's supply is limited. Their H100 chips are so high in demand that even trillion-dollar companies like Microsoft, Google, and Meta are struggling to get enough. And OpenAI? They're right in the middle of this bottleneck. So when you're rebuilding some of the most advanced AI models on the planet, but you can't get enough GPUs, what do? You stop depending on others. You build your own. That's where Broadcom enters the story. Why Broadcom? If you're not familiar, Broadcom isn't the flashy consumer brand like Nvidia or Intel. They don't sell graphics cards. They don't make gaming chips. But behind the scenes, they power the digital world. Broadcom builds high-performance networking, storage, and custom silicon for companies like Apple, Google, and Amazon. Their chips sit inside data centers, routers, and cloud infrastructure that handle trillions of operations every second. So when OpenAI looked for a partner to help design custom AI accelerators, Broadcom was the perfect fit. Reports say the partnership has been in motion for months. Broadcom's engineers are helping OpenAI design application-specific integrated circuits, or ASICs chips built specifically for running AI models faster, cheaper, and at scale. Why custom chips change everything? Now, here's the important part. Custom chips aren't just another tech upgrade, they're a full-on strategic shift. When you rely on Nvidia, you're playing on their terms, their pricing, their supply, their roadmap. But when you design your own chips, you take back control. You optimize for your workloads, you manage costs, and you future-proof your business. Think about Apple. Before 2020, they relied on Intel for their Mac processors. Then they switched to their own Apple Silicon, the M1 and M2 chips. Overnight, they gained speed, efficiency, and complete independence. The same transformation is now happening in AI. OpenAI wants to own the full stack, not just the model, but also the silicon it runs on. That means more power, more efficiency, and less dependency on suppliers. The cost problem, let's break it down. Right now, training a large AI model like GPT-4 costs tens of millions of dollars in compute. Each time they upgrade the model, costs will skyrocket. By designing their own chips, OpenAI could slash training costs by 30 to 50%. Multiply that across every model iteration, and we're talking billions in savings. But it's not just about saving money. It's about scaling faster. With their own chips, OpenAI can train more models simultaneously, test new architectures, and deploy updates faster than competitors. This is how you stay ahead in the AI race, not just by building smarter models, but by owning the infrastructure that powers them. Why Nvidia should worry: Nvidia's dominance has been nearly absolute in the AI space. Their CUDA software ecosystem and H100 GPUs have created a kind of monopoly, but that monopoly might not last. As more companies like OpenAI, Google, and Amazon build custom AI chips, Nvidia's grip weakens. Google already has TPUs, Amazon has Trainium and Inferentia. Meta is working on its own AI accelerator. Now OpenAI is joining that list, and that is a big deal because it signals that AI companies no longer want to depend on one vendor. Nvidia will still dominate for a while, but the cracks are starting to show. Broadcom's secret weapon. Here's why this partnership makes even more sense. Broadcom ISN test another chip designer. They're masters at co-designing silicon with clients. They've built custom chips for Apple's Wi-Fi and Bluetooth systems. They've partnered with Google to optimize networking silicon for its massive data centers. They know how to tailor chips exactly for a client's workload. Now imagine Broadcom doing the same for OpenAI, but this time for AI inference and training. This could lead to chips specifically tuned for transformer architectures, optimized for high-speed matrix multiplications, and integrated with OpenAI's software stack, like Triton, their custom deep learning compiler. In short, these chips could outperform even Nvidia H100s, but only for OpenAI's specific use cases. Microsoft's role in the background? Of course, there's another player in this story, Microsoft. They've invested over $13 billion into OpenAI and provide the compute power through Azure's cloud infrastructure. Now imagine what happens when OpenAI's custom chips built by Broadcom get integrated directly into Microsoft's Azure data centers. We're talking about a vertically integrated AI empire. OpenAI builds the models, Broadcom designs the chips, Microsoft provides the infrastructure. Together, they create a closed ecosystem that could rival even Google and Amazon's AI stacks. And that's exactly what scares the competition. The bigger picture, the AI infrastructure war. Make no mistake, this partnership is part of a much bigger war. The AI race is no longer just about who has the best model. It's about who controls the full value chain, from data to compute to deployment. Companies that control their own silicon, software, and cloud infrastructure will dominate the next decade of AI. That's why OpenAI's move with Broadcom is so significant. It's not a short-term optimization, it's a long-term survival strategy. If OpenAI can free itself from Nvidia's pricing and supply bottlenecks, they can innovate faster, and that means staying ahead of rivals like Anthropic, Google DeepMind, and xAI. The challenge is ahead, but it's not going to be easy. Designing chips is one of the hardest things in tech. It takes years, billions of dollars, and a team of world-class engineers. Even if Broadcom leads the design, OpenAI will still need to manage the software stack, driver optimization, and integration into their infrastructure. There's also the issue of manufacturing. Broadcom doesn't build chips, they design them. The actual production will likely happen through TSMC in Taiwan, which means supply chain dependency doesn't fully go away. Still, even with these challenges, this move gives OpenAI far more leverage than before. The future, AI-optimized silicon everywhere. Here's what this partnership signals to the rest of the industry. The age of general-purpose GPUs is ending. The age of AI-optimized silicon is beginning. Every major AI player will now want custom chips designed specifically for their workloads. Models will no longer be trained on off-the-shelf GPUs. They'll run on hardware built for their neural architectures. And that means faster innovation, lower costs, and new capabilities. Imagine AI models that can process 10x more data in the same time, or inference chips that make AI services 50% cheaper to run. That's the kind of revolution we're about to see. Why this matters for the future of AI at the surface, this partnership might sound like a technical footnote, just another hardware deal. But under the hood, it represents the next phase of AI evolution. The first phase was data, collect as much as possible. The second phase was models, make them bigger and smarter. Now we're entering the hardware phase, make them faster, cheaper, and everywhere. Whoever masters this layer will control the future of AI, and with Broadcom by its side, OpenAI just made a move that positions it perfectly for the next decade. The takeaway: control the stack, control the future. In the end, this is about independence. OpenAI doesn't want to rely on Nvidia forever. It doesn't want its progress bottlenecked by GPU shortages or rising costs. By partnering with Broadcom, it's laying the foundation for something bigger, a future where it controls every part of its AI engine. This is the same playbook the biggest tech empires have always followed. Apple built its own chips. Google built its own servers. Amazon built its own cloud. Now OpenAI is building its own AI silicon. Because in the world of technology, when you control the stack, you control the future. So the next time you hear about OpenAI and Broadcom working together, don't brush it off as a hardware story. It's a power story, one that could reshape who leads the global AI race. And if it works, this partnership won't just make ChatGPT faster. It could make OpenAI unstoppable.